Special thank you to my YouTube members and patrons for supporting the channel and supporting my content. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we are going to be returning to r/TrueOffMyChest. It's been a little while since I did the first video on this, so I thought I'd finally return and do a second one because it was interesting. There was a lot of drama. It was a wild ride, I'll be honest, but we're gonna take another look at it today. Before I begin, I just wanted to mention that I will be streaming in 2 hours as of this video going out, and I'm actually gonna be streaming this week. Last week I didn't stream because I had some things going on in my personal life, so I couldn't stream, but this week I will actually be streaming, so go check that out. I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise. Hopefully George will be with me there. We're trying to fight an elder dragon. I've forgotten his name. I was gonna say Placidusax. That's from Elden Ring. Valstrax. We're gonna try and take on Valstrax. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's go take a look at the subreddit, shall we? I regret getting married every single moment. I haven't even been married 6 months. I, 25 female, am leaving my husband, 30 male. Disclaimer, we have discussed monogamy in detail before getting married. We both agreed we were monogamous and wanted to be in a closed relationship. 1 month after our wedding, he asked if we could open up our marriage. This came out of nowhere and I have been shocked and angry. I told him I was not comfortable with that and he told me just to give it time. He has completely dismissed my apprehension and refuses to acknowledge my concerns. He tells me that he has not made moves on anyone, but he has swiped on dating apps with me in bed with him. He also flirts with co-workers of ours, ones who were at our wedding. Yesterday, I had someone ask if I had been the one to open the marriage, and I've never felt so betrayed and disrespected by my husband. He has told everyone we are in an open marriage. My stepmother is letting me stay with her for a few weeks, and I'm collecting my things this evening. I can't continue this anymore. I'm in the bathroom, at work, crying my eyes out. Oh boy. Okay, we're off to a good start, huh? So yeah, that's the absolute audacity of waiting a month before being like, hey, can we open this marriage now? A month! I mean, if you've discussed in detail that you are both monogamous and want to be in a closed relationship, it shouldn't be something that you really bring up after years of being married, because it's something you both agreed to. But, you know, if you both felt the same way, okay. But a month after a marriage where you've already discussed being monogamous, the audacity of that is wow. But not only that, telling other people that it's already something you've agreed and that your relationship is open is just prime attempt at trying to cheat on them. Let's be real, that's all that is going on there. They're trying to cheat. So yeah, it's a cursed marriage, unfortunately. I hope that they're doing better and have escaped this, but oh boy. My son's friend's parents want to adopt him. All names have been changed to protect everyone involved. I, 24 female, am a single mom to my son, Owen. It's been just us since day one. His father isn't in the picture and has been able to avoid child support for years now. Yes, I've tried everything. My own parents disowned me. I had to drop out of high school and have worked a myriad of jobs since then to keep us afloat. We aren't on the poverty line by any means, but we definitely live paycheck to paycheck in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not ideal and I hope within the next couple of years we'll have someplace bigger. For now, it's our situation. I've raised Owen to know that money isn't everything. We may not have a lot. He won't always have the newest this or that, but we have each other. The two of us are very close. He has never gone without the basics, but I admit he doesn't get a lot of fun extras. I try to save a little here and there to make birthdays and holidays fun, but it's still never anything glamorous. I think Owen was fine with that. Until recently, anyway. In our area, all the public schools are based on a lottery system, so your child has a fair shot of going to any of them, so long as you put in their name. Our neighborhood school is not great and in a pretty crappy area, so I decided to put him in a different one across town. It's near my job, so it works out. Last year when he was in 2nd grade, he met Charlie. They began hanging out a lot after school, with Owen going to his place. I met Charlie's parents, Nate and Paige, a couple of times before this began. They seemed very nice and supportive. Owen always had a great time at their house. Charlie occasionally came to our apartment, but usually they were at his place, which made sense. I work and there's really not much for them to do here even when I am off. Summer breaks are easy to find care, as there are several free or low-cost camps that I can put Owen in. It's the shorter breaks such as Christmas and spring that are harder. Camp space is limited. Spring break of 2022, I managed to just miss registration. Paige is a stay-at-home mum and offered to take Owen for the week. I was hesitant to ask so much of her, but she insisted. He had a really fun time with them. They did a ton of activities, and Paige refused my attempts to pay her back at least some. I couldn't afford all. I admit, I did feel a tad uncomfortable with her spending this much on my son, but at the time, I didn't want to deprive Owen of this stuff. Summer came, and while I did get Owen into camp, he spent a ton of time with Charlie as well. He ended up going on vacation with them. I was again very hesitant, but the experience was something I could never give Owen, and it wasn't too far away. He had a blast. I kept telling Nate and Paige that there's no way I would ever pay them back, and they kept insisting that they loved having Owen around. They told me what a great kid he is, sweet, respectful. At one point, I really pressed Paige as to why she was so insistent on having Owen around so much. That's when she told me that they never planned for Charlie to be an only child, but all attempts at giving him a sibling just didn't happen. They know that Owen will never make up for not having a brother, but if they can give him a constant playmate so he's not lonely, they'll do it. Should this have been a red flag? Maybe. But at the same time, I found it sweet that the boys considered each other brothers. I thought it was innocent. Surely Paige and Nate knew the truth, right? Right? This continued for a bit, and come Christmas break of 2022, Paige and Nate insisted that I not even bother to try to get Owen into a camp. They'd take care of him for me. I was grateful. They ended up getting him more Christmas gifts than I did. I tried to set my pride aside because it was about Owen, not me. This was when things finally started seeming off to me. I understood a gift on his birthday, and while they didn't get him as many gifts as they got Charlie, it was a lot more than you would typically get your kid's friend. Fast forward now, spring break was last week, and this time Paige and Nate didn't just offer to take care of him during the day while I worked, they asked if Owen could spend the entire week at their house. Honestly, it meant I could pick up some more shifts and save up for the bike Owen wants for his birthday, so I said yes. I went to pick him up on Saturday afternoon. The kids were playing out back, so Nate and Paige asked to talk to me. They sat me down and said they love Owen, and he was always such a joy to have. I thanked them profusely for all they'd done for him. Paige suggested that Owen stay a little longer. I pointed out Easter was Sunday, plus school started up on Monday. They said they could take him to school. I felt weird and said no. It was time for Owen to come home. That's when Nate suggested that Owen stay with them long term. I could see him, but they would take care of him. I thought they were joking and said, like what, you'd be his guardians or something? They got quiet and the reality rushed over me. I pointed out that this wasn't a movie. They can't just get custody. They started spouting some legal stuff about how I could assign them as guardians and they would help make this transition smooth. They told me to think about Owen and what's best for him. I told them there was no way in hell I was going to give up my son. I grabbed Owen and we left. I blocked their numbers. Owen has no clue what's going on. I'm keeping him home tomorrow and took the day off work to figure some stuff out. Legally they can't take him, but now I know what they want. I'm terrified. I don't want him to go back to school. Do we move? I'm so lost. I feel so stupid because looking back, all the warning signs were there. I know Owen is going to be devastated losing Charlie, Paige, and Nate. How am I ever going to explain it to him? Wow, that's a situation, all right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty gross and intrusive of them to just be like, hey, can we just adopt your son? Can we just become the long-term permanent guardians of your son? Like, looking after him every now and then when she's unable to is one thing, but that's just intrusive and downright rude. I think in the long run, Owen needs Charlie as a friend, right? They're really good friends. They spend a lot of time together and they're very close, okay? I think if there is a way to continue Owen's relationship with Charlie, but maybe reduce the time he spends with Paige and Nate, or just reduce the contact he has with them substantially, I don't know. Maybe it's better to just get out of there and cut ties completely, but like, Owen is gonna lose his closest friend in this situation, right? So that's a really, really difficult one. I'm not a parent. I don't know what the best thing is. You know what? Ignore any advice I've given because chances are it's garbage. I'm not a parent. I can't give advice on this kind of thing, but wow, that's a wild situation, all right? That's wild. I hope this resolves. I just found out the true reason my dad wanted to start a business with me. In 2018, my dad told me he was planning to open a plant shop and asked if I wanted to help, since he was working his full-time job and would not have time to manage the shop. Now, my dad loves plants. The house is filled with them, and he comes home every day after work to care and check in with them. He's extremely knowledgeable about them too, and could tell if a plant was sick and how to treat it without ever having gone to school for it. it. He told me he really wanted to try it and hoped he could make something out of it. At this point, I had just gotten discharged from the military and wasn't doing much. Plus, it was rare that he would ask for my help, so I said sure. Within a week or two, we opened the shop. We planned the prices, the stocks, he taught me the basics of how to take care of various plants, how to make terrariums to sell, and everything else I needed to know to run the shop when he wasn't around. We sold succulents, various flowers, bonsai, seeds, anything that looked fun and interesting. He sourced all of that himself. He came by every day when he had a break from work and offered delivery services to customers. Unfortunately, the shop didn't last long. The rent was expensive and foot traffic was low, so he was essentially bleeding money. Didn't help that he insisted on paying me a full living wage either. Eventually, I couldn't bear to see him work so hard and lose so much money and told him I didn't want to do it anymore. The shop then closed and that was that. I've always felt bad about how it ended, and I regretted how I didn't stick it out longer with this thing he worked so hard for and loved. I decided that once I made enough money in the future, I would help him restart the business. Cut to a few days ago. I casually asked Mum if my dad ever mentioned anything about starting the business again, since he was so into it. She was confused at first, then told me the truth. He didn't start the business because he wanted to, he just wanted to have something to keep me busy. I didn't mention why I was discharged from the military earlier. I did it because I had attempted suicide after a severe bout of depression. He came up with the business idea while visiting me at the psych ward. After I mentioned how doing nothing all day makes me feel worse, he heard this little comment of mine and just went for it. He knew he was going to lose money, but he did it anyway. He's not rich by any means. He used his savings to do this. My mum wasn't supposed to tell me any of this. He knew that if he had told me the truth in the beginning, I would have said no because it was too much trouble, and if I found out now, I would just feel bad. As long as it was something that helped me, he was okay with things as is. I don't know what I'm feeling about this. Like most Asian dads and sons, we've never really been affectionate with one another, not with words at least. He's always been more of a silent supporter type, showing up to every achievement and struggle I had. He never said that he cared, but visited me multiple times a day when I was in the psych ward. I want to thank him, but he would be uncomfortable. I want to say I love him, but he would do the boomer equivalent of cringing. I do plan to thank him at some point, but I'm also feeling uncomfortable because that's just not how we do things. In the meantime though, thank you Dad, I love you. Edit, I was not expecting this to get so many comments. I posted this last night in my time zone and went to bed and woke up overwhelmed by all the responses. Thank you all for your love for my dad. He truly deserves all the love in the world and more. I'm sorry I can't get to reply to all your comments, but your love and suggestions are felt and heard. I will thank him as many suggested. I will do it in actions. I love the idea of taking him to the botanical garden in my country. Thank you for the one who suggested it. And I'm making plans. I would like to do more. I don't know if it will ever feel enough, haha. So I'm looking into getting more plants and equipment for him. My mum will not be happy at any more plant things taking up space, but she'll understand. I will also try my best to live a good and happy life, as that's important to him, as well as some of you pointed out. Speaking of, thank you to the people who wished me well too. I'm doing much better than I did in 2017-2018. My dad was definitely one of the biggest reasons that made me keep going. Seeing him show up multiple times a day when I was at the psych ward really affected me, knowing how much he cared. I am currently getting a degree in counseling too. Thank you all again. I hope you are doing well, and remember to give love to the people around you, however that may be. My voice is starting to die reading now. I think I read with a specific voice that my voice doesn't like. That was really wholesome. That dad clearly cares a hell of a lot, and like that's his way of showing it, right? And I think OP understands that. But yeah, the level of care and love that he would think to do something like this and go through with doing something like this is incredible. It's rare that you get a really nice wholesome post in TrueOffMyChest, but here it is, and I just wanted to put it in for the wholesomeness because you don't often get stuff like this. So yeah, that was just a really nice one. I think we've got time for one more post before I'm gonna have to call this short. I did have an extra two, but I'm not gonna have time for the last one. So yeah, this is the last post. My sister didn't get into a single one of her dream schools, and I'm living for it. I don't like my younger sister, I will admit that. She's always been a daddy's girl and never faced a single consequence in her life. While my parents are not narcissists or abusive, they've always been softer on younger sister than any of my other siblings. She's always been given privileges that were never given to any of the other siblings. It does not help that she's a selfish brat who has made it her mission to make all of her siblings' lives as hard as possible growing up. At some point, younger sister realized that she can just lie and get away with it, or really do anything and not face consequences. This ranged from petty lying to to get us all in trouble to actual crime. She used to steal any cash she could find from all of us. My parents defended her and brushed it off even after my oldest sister caught her on camera doing it. Younger sister graduates from high school this year. My parents have been awfully quiet about her academics for the last 2 years. Despite all of their other children having high marks academically, all now having college degrees, they could never stop gushing about younger sister and how smart she was, until 2 years ago when she nearly failed high school by ditching for an entire semester. Her GPA is now abysmal. She's barely graduating from what I've heard, yet my parents and younger sister still thought she could get into a good school. Younger sister's dream school was Yale, with Harvard as a second pick. I'm not joking. Despite her graduation quickly approaching, I had heard nothing about younger sister's college plans, and it turns out that my parents and she had kept it secret because she got accepted into 0 of the schools she wanted. They applied to 12. She only got accepted into 1. The school she got accepted to accepts literally anyone with a pulse that can pay. What makes this more cathartic to me and makes me much pettier is when I and my older brother went to college, my father refused to use the money he saved for our college on us, claiming because we got scholarships we didn't need and he would save it for younger sister. I know for a fact younger sister is distraught now. The point is moot anyway because she would fail/drop out of school anyway, but for the first time in her life, she's actually facing consequences and I'm living for it right now. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she's awful. Stealing, lying, and facing no consequences, finally realizing, hey, just because your family treats you this way doesn't mean that life will. And I think it will be a valuable lesson to her in the future, potentially, or she'll just live in her parents' house and mooch off their money for the rest of her life, who knows. But yeah, no, I can see how that would be cathartic. I can see how you would enjoy that happening because, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And I think that's where I'm going to end the video, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. That was a fun one, full of drama as usual. If you want to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. Special thank you to all of my YouTube members and patrons that do support the channel. All of you are incredible, wonderful, amazing people. All of your names are on screen, and you all genuinely mean so much to me. So thank you to everybody that does help. Genuinely. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.